Welcome to REIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of REIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is how to find contractors. Contractors are everywhere. You just have to know how to find them. If I'm driving through a neighborhood and I see a vacant property getting rehabbed, I will walk onto the site and ask to speak to the lead contractor for contact information. Typically, these contractors are already working with investors or builders, not retail homeowners. If I'm invited inside the property, this also gives me a chance to see their quality of work. Another source is to stalk Lowe's and Home Depot for contractors. If someone is wearing a trade shirt, I will approach them and ask them if they work with investors. Sometimes they say they only work with retail clients and aren't sure how it works with investors. I let them know that even though we pay wholesale prices for labor, we provide consistent projects that come with a detailed scope of work for a vacant property where they don't have to deal with a homeowner. You may get lucky and meet a frustrated retail painter that is there for the third time because the Karen he's working for has changed the color choice again, and now he's losing money because he can only work there 3 hours a day while her kid is at gymnastics. Now, the best and most vetted contractors come from my network of other real estate investors. These contractors are already used to working with investors. If you are just starting out, I suggest you join every local real estate investor Facebook group out there. After a quick scroll through the posts, you will see who the real players are. When you need a specific contractor, you should send a private message to an experienced investor asking for a referral. I do this instead of posting like a general inquiry in the group because investors may be willing to share their favorite chimney guy with you, but not with everyone. That way, the chimney guy doesn't get overbooked, so the original investor can't hire him when needed. So, what are you waiting for? Go out there and get you some contractors. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us total badass Bob Lachance. Bob has been an active business owner and real estate investor since 2004. Bob is an entrepreneur by nature and currently owns, operates, and manages many different businesses around the world. Bob helped create one of the top real estate coaching and mentor programs in existence today, and also created one of the premier virtual assistant staffing companies, REVA Global. Bob is an expert in the real estate investing space and has an incredible reputation for creation, implementation, and execution. It is my honor to have him on the show, so welcome, Bob Lachance.
Jen, thanks for having me. Great intro. I appreciate it.
You know, I was super nervous about this interview because you are kind of like a rock star to me. And we mentioned that you started this, the top real estate coaching and mentor program, which I am a student of. And I actually heard you speak at one of the events. I literally have my notes from 2017 behind me of what you spoke on, which, are you ready for this, was free marketing. So I got to start with this story. I got to get this off my chest. When I heard you speak, first of all, I know you all can't see him, but I mean, he's really tough to look at, people. He's a former hockey star. And I mean, I'm just saying. So you see his picture on the cover of this podcast, but so he's a little intimidating to me. I was also just getting into real estate at the time. So all these names were being thrown at me and just getting all mushed together. And we were in Vegas. And, there's some drinking that goes on in Vegas. So I was feeling no pain. My husband and I walk into this elevator and I turn around and you're standing in the elevator. I was like, oh my gosh, you're Ron LeGrand. I got names confused. I called Bob Lachance Ron LeGrand, who is also
Ron's a little older than me, though. I do have
1,000 years older than you. Sorry, Ron. But it has been an ongoing joke. Actually, Ron came to speak at one of our REAs, and my husband, who still teases me to this day, he's like, "Oh, Bob Lachance is coming to speak." I'm like, "Really? Let's go." And he's like, and I look at it, it's Ron LeGrand. I'm like, you jerk. So I just had to get that off my chest because it was hilarious, and that's why you are kind of a celebrity figure to me. But anyway, give us a quick little background on Bob Lachance. I mentioned the hockey thing. So tell us how you got involved with real estate.
Absolutely. 2-second rundown. I played professional hockey for 8 years, like you said. And then I decided to retire. It was kind of coming to the end of my playing career. My wife was at home. I had my first son, and decided, I have to jump into something that doesn't require a degree, because I actually left Boston University 2 classes short of my degree. So I had to jump into an industry where you didn't need you didn't need a degree or any, lower barriers of entry. So jumped into real estate. So I decided to do that. And I don't know if you remember, do you remember Patrick Precourt?
I don't.
If you remember him. He was with the Fortune Builders as well, obviously, when you and I met. Mm-hmm. He was the first individual I met in Connecticut, and I did my first flip, and then I decided to join a REA group, just like you're part of, or I think you run as well. And I saw a pre-foreclosure speaker speak, and at that point, I was going to buy everything. I was a buyer. When you first start real estate, we don't know. You know what I mean? You don't know where you're going to start. So I ended up buying his course. And at that point, I, kind of put a flag in the ground and said I was a short sale investor, because I didn't, know any better. I just did a flip and made some pretty good money on a rehab. But when I met Pat, I walked up to him and said, "Pat, hey, you have no idea who I am, but I'm looking to, start working with somebody. Do you have any openings?" And he said, "Yeah, actually I do. I have an opening as a door knocker." So I don't know if Jenna, you've ever door knocked, but
no.
It's not the sexiest thing ever. It's absolutely awful. However, it got me into the game, and my mindset was I have to learn from ground up what I don't know. It came from the hockey rink. So I there's no formal business education at all when you're literally in a hockey locker room for your whole life. So joined his team and door knocked for about a year straight, and then became partners after a year. And started negotiating with banks. We started our first coaching program with a company down in Florida on top of investing. And then 2007, got approached by Dan, Paul, and Conrad with Fortune Builders. And they decided to start a real estate education program. And they knew that we were both in Connecticut at the time. And they knew that we were running a successful coaching program. And they said, "Hey, we want you to join our team." Like, "Hey, absolutely." Because we were investing, we were doing short sales for those guys, wholesaling them properties, and do a bunch of work here in Connecticut with them. And so anyway, fast forward, that's when I met you, right? So met you back in 2017.
That's right. And in fact, in one of my notes, when you're talking about door knocking, you're also talking about door hangers. And I still, to this day, you are the person who taught me don't put them on a mailbox because it's like federal property or something, correct?
Well, inside the mail. I can't put it inside the mailbox. You
inside.
Gotta put it. You can't put it. Yeah, you can't put it inside the mailbox.
I have been afraid of going near mailboxes ever since I heard, Bob Lachance talk about it. So I actually,
that's awesome.
And now I have evolved as a coach. I coach for Homeschooled by Tark, and I interviewed Bud Evans yesterday. His will be released before you. And by the way, he says you play hockey like a girl. I'm just supposed to tell you that.
Bud's a great dude. He's an awesome guy.
He had a little more colorful description, but I'll just say like a girl. So anyway, let's dive in here. I know your time is valuable, and you have created what's called REVA Global, and REVA stands for Real Estate Virtual Assistance. And what is awesome about REVA Global, to me personally, is that everybody's trained in real estate. It's so all of that, which is when people start hiring virtual assistants, there's so much about the training and spending all that time, but you have already prepared them and trained them. And so let's go into a little bit about that. How do you find your virtual assistants for REVA Global?
Yeah, I started back in, I didn't tell that story, but I started back in, my first virtual assistant actually back in 2013. And the reason why I started the company was because, working with students, you know this, right? Being a coach as well. A lot of our students, they're either brand new, they're either working part-time, they're working full-time, or they're seasoned, right? And there's a lot of different things that they need, but there's three main things that you look at when you're either in any one of those stages, right? You're either looking for more time, your time back, you're looking for more efficiency, or you're looking to scale. So no matter what, if you're working part-time, full-time, you need help on doing tasks, right? Because that's, you'll be teaching a student, I'll be teaching a student to say, hey, you need to do these three things in the next week. Well, guess what? If they're working full time, they have a tough time to actually get that done. So I was looking for either a product or a service from 2007 to 2013. I was always looking for something to help our students. And then in 2013, I got introduced to what virtual assistants were. And they weren't really popular within the investing community. They were more popular within the real estate agent community. So I hired my first one in 2013, and then the light bulb went on. I said, you know what? There's a business here. Obviously, my thought process was we put the education behind it. I already helped start a couple programs. I said, all right, what happens if, because I'm real estate investor as well. I'll tell you a little bit about that and what we're doing today as well. But you put all of that together with all the experience starting in 2004, investing and helping start different programs. There's systems, there's processes, there's tasks that we all need to do to consistently get done to be successful. So when I first started the company, I tested it for about 2 years. And what that looked like was we're all out of the Philippines. So we had to set up a sourcing and recruiting team in the Philippines, a training team, a placements team, which places virtual assistants with clients, and an operations team behind the scenes. So that's what we had to build up. And then, so obviously fast forward to today, we went through a lot of different iterations. I had a business partner, I went through a business partner breakup. Now my wife and I are business partners. This happened back in 2018, which is, if anyone who listens to this ever went through a business partner breakup, at the point that it happens, it is very difficult. Mm-hmm. However, I always look at the positive and everything. It's a blessing in disguise when that stuff does happen. And work with, Jen, if any of your students go through that, work with their coach through it, because it's extremely helpful to be working with coaches. I'm a firm believer of, I think everybody should have a coach and a mentor.
Absolutely.
100%.
Yes.
So I don't know if I answer that question. I kind of go off on tangents sometimes, so you might have to rein me back in, Jen.
No. So you mentioned the Philippines. And so the first thing that comes to my mind is, because I will hear people call a lot, I'll get cold called, and They don't speak English very well. So how do you get past that?
So the Philippines is different. English is one of their primary languages. And we do a really good job in our company. I take a lot of pride in, building the proper foundation in any business. I think everyone should just look at the same kind of model as you got to build a very, very solid foundation to be able to grow on top of that. And I think one of them for us is our sourcing and recruiting team. We siphon through English proficiency is one of our key factors that we hit on. We have to make sure that it's up to the level that we expect, because I know for me personally, I use how many, probably over 10 virtual assistants in my own business, mm-hmm. right? So they cold call, they text message, they follow up, they do data scraping, etc. So I know for a fact, if I think I'm going to use them, then I know you could use them, because one of the things I think, you know me, you see me speak on stage, very open, right? And if you ask me a question, I'm literal and I will answer your question the way you ask it. So for me personally, if I'm going to sit in front of you to say, hey, you should do this, I expect me to either be doing it or have done it. Does
Absolutely.
That make sense?
Yep, definitely.
Yep.
So I was telling JP Kilduff, who
Yeah.
he has a previous interview with me where he was talking about REVA Global. And my thing is, me personally, and I'm sure this is an issue with several listeners, is I'm a control freak, and there are things where I don't want to let go of. And my first thought when I hear virtual assistants, I think of exactly what you just said: cold callers, dialers, the text messaging, all the automated everything. I personally don't run my business that way. I go the opposite route where I will do mailers, or I have my Facebook ad where hot leads are calling me. I'm not, as I loosely say, chasing down leads. So I know that there are still job tasks that can be done by virtual assistants. So for those people like me who prefer having people call into them instead of having to, keep up with the CRM and, keep following up with leads and doing all that, what are some uses for virtual assistants for someone like me?
So let me touch upon the control freak part. Right?
Hi, welcome to the show.
That's a very common thing, but
Okay.
that is a very common thing. I mean, I think majority of entrepreneurs go through that, right?
Okay.
We feel, we all feel, I felt the same way. And we feel like no one could do that particular task better than us, right?
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that. That's okay. But when you break it down, you peel back the onion, you look and you say, okay, if somebody's going to consistently cold call every day, hypothetically, right? Because if you're on the phone all day long cold calling, you're going to get beat up, you're going to get tired, you're going to end up quitting. What we do in our business, everything has to be done on a consistent basis to reach a result, right? Doesn't matter what it is. It's branding, it's marketing. You have to consistently do that to get deal flow, right? So we're all the same. We feel like, guess what? If someone jumps on the phone, they know, or that, hey, I'm the best. And that's great to have that confidence. However, think about this. If you miss a day, that means 0 calls were made.
Right.
If you miss another day, another 0 calls a day. I look at it, if they could do 70% or 80% as good as you, who cares? It's getting done. Because if you step back, let's look at cold calling, since you use that as a perfect example. If you have somebody cold calling every single day, they will be driving you leads every single day. So the way I use virtual assistants in my own business and a lot of our clients, they use them to gauge seller motivation and then hand off the warm lead to you. Because I truly feel it's your job, Jen, it's my job in our business to turn that into money.
Gotcha.
Right? So you use virtual assistants to generate that lead, to weed through all of the tire kickers out there to give you the ones that give you the best opportunity to turn that into money.
So besides cold calling, what are some good uses for virtual assistants?
Yeah, text messaging, you got data entry, you got CRM management. Following up is huge because a lot of us, even if you're doing just direct mail or you're doing PPC or SEO, you're going to have a pile of leads in your database that, guess what? Think about this. When you get a hot lead, you just said you do all inbound. So
Right.
when you get a hot lead, you're cherry picking, right? You're not going to go back to a lead that's been in your database for 3-4 months.
True.
But if you look at statistically speaking, 70% of all deals that come in are from follow-up. They're not one call closes, right? You have to build rapport. You got to find out what their motivations are. And typically their motivations aren't, hey, Jen, I'm going to give you my house today. It's going to be, okay, you have to build rapport. You got to figure out what their challenges are. You got to help fix them. And you got to, before you know it, it's 5, 6, 7 months down the road of when that first lead came in.
But where I'm going with this, first of all, Bud has a REVA Global virtual assistant named Ron, who is like his assistant. And I'm like, oh my gosh, because we were at breakfast at a conference and he kept getting these messages and he's like, oh, Ron just took care of all my emails for me. And I'm like, I want Ron. So that's where I'm going, because that's the first thing is people think of it. And there's also ones where once you get a property under contract, they take it to the closing. So what is that called?
Transaction coordinator.
Yes.
Yep.
So there are, besides just cold callers, you do have,
So and I'll explain that. So we have clients that are real estate investors, and they do a multitude, like you said, whether it's email management, whether it's, calendar management, whether it's, setting up their trips, whatever that is on the side of it. There's so many things in the real estate investing space We also have clients and real estate agents as well that, do transaction coordinating. They do proof all of the contracts. On the investment side, again, you have, virtual assistants that write contracts, make offers, etc. We also have property management companies that use us to take tenant calls, to do leasing, lease renewals, right? We also have mortgage brokers. We have a whole medical division as well. So I always look at it this way. If you look at your calendar, we could 100% look to see what tasks are non-producing tasks or, money producing tasks. And when you look at it, and I heard this, I can't remember who told me that, but if you look at it and you're doing $10 an hour tasks, it typically relates to a $10 an hour bank account.
Right.
So you have to get all of that stuff off your plate to give to somebody else. And one of the things that's really important, and I think you've probably said this a ton of times, it's consistency in this business that really separates yourself from everybody else. You could have competitors in your market. You could have 50 competitors in your market. But if you're the one who does things consistently, you're going to win over time.
Very well said. Very, very well said. All right. Here's an important question, though. For the tight asses out there who don't want to, there's a gentleman in the other room who happens to be my business partner, AKA my husband, who does not want to pay for those $10 an hour jobs. So how do you convince someone of that? How do you move past that? How do you rip off the Band-Aid?
Well, you have to look at, I look at it as an investment. I know, I think you do as well. And I've failed so many times to where you get what you pay for, right? You will try a virtual assistant, go get them yourself. You could get one more inexpensive, but you're going to go through the pain of trying to find one. You're going to sift through hundreds and hundreds of resumes. You're going to go on, 50 interviews only to get that one VA. And then you're going to hire him. Before you know it, he's going to leave or she's going to leave because you didn't do the right thing in the vetting process. How do I know? I made that mistake first when at the beginning, back when I first started working with virtual assistants. So I now always look at, you get what you pay for. Same thing with a Home Depot door. Perfect example. One of my first houses that I bought a cheap Home Depot door, $99. And every single winter and every single summer, I was mother effing that door because either snow was coming through the bottom or, we were losing our heating bill or our air conditioning bill was ridiculously high. So at that point, I'm like, you know what? I'm buying Anderson door. I'll buy the top of the line door because guess what? I deserved it because I went cheap. If you go cheap, it's never a good investment. And
to go further on that, for your virtual assistants, it starts at what, $10.65 an hour?
Yeah, $10.60 flat. Yep.
$10.60 flat. You can go onto Fiverr, Upwork. You can get them for like $3 an hour. But you have to consider your time. You have to go through and think of all the interview processes that you have to go through, all the time training them. And for you, it's like a one-stop shop. They're prepared. They hit the ground running. So that's why I am definitely a big fan of REVA Global. So where does one start? Who is the first virtual assistant you should hire?
So it all depends. It depends what your biggest pain point is, right? Because everybody is in a different stage.
My husband's pain point is having to go run and get nails for the guys at the project who ran out of nails. And then he goes, picks them up, delivers them, and comes back. And then half an hour later, they're like, oh, we need a couple more sheets of plywood. It's just one of those things. But I know a virtual assistant.
He's in Home Depot hell is what he is. He's in Home Depot. Hey, trust me, my first project I was in Home Depot hell because I did not set up any systems or processes. So I feel his pain.
Yes.
What he has to do there, though, he has to make sure he trains his contractor to go get it himself. So
exactly. Very good. All right. So where should one start, though?
Anyway, answer that question. Yeah. So what I would do is I would look at in our own business. You look at your calendar, start with that, and almost do what's called a time and motion to see exactly what you do. Start on a Monday, and go all the way through the week and do it for about 2 weeks. And you'll realize all of the stuff that you don't want to do that is more admin, that saps your energy. or something that you consistently, you realize that needs to get done, but you don't do it.
Right.
Cold calling is one of them, text messaging, following up. Those are the energy stuff. Social media branding, right? That's another big one. I mean,
Huge.
I know I can't, because we all realize social media it's really important, and I don't like it, to be honest with you. I don't like doing any of that. I always get questions. Hey, great post the other day. I'm like, what are you talking about? Because I have a virtual assistant posting it. So I would never do it if somebody didn't do it for me.
I love that, because I do spend a lot of time on social media. I'm glad you brought this up, because in 2019, half of our flips that year came from referrals from social media. Yep. And so it is such an important aspect of it to keep it. Yes, you have your, there's a balance between the social and, pictures of your dog and things like that, but then to really ramp up the business side of things. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Well, think about that too. You could have somebody, if you have one project under contract, you could take a picture, send it over them. They could post it all over the place, and you could send them as the rehab, if you're a rehabber, as that goes on, you could take pictures of it and updates and things like that, where then you could send over to your virtual assistant. They could promote it, push it all over the place.
And it's not just Facebook and Instagram. Mm-hmm. You got to take charge of LinkedIn and YouTube and all of those things. So that is a time suck for me, I know for sure. So excellent point on that. So how do people find a virtual assistant in REVA Global?
Yep. The only thing you have to do for us is just go to our website. We have you could schedule a Calendly appointment, and one of our team members will walk through your business with you. It's kind of like a consulting call, and walk through what your biggest pain points are, what you're looking for, what you need today, what you need in the future, and then hone in on exactly what you're looking for and looking to do.
And so it's just as easy as doing that setup call, and then
that's it.
Do you get assigned a couple to interview, or like, how does that process work?
Yeah. So I'll go over the process real quick. So once you speak to our admissions team, they'll walk through, and if you raise your hand, you say, yes, I'm ready. I'm ready to actually take the next step. Then you actually go to our placements team, and what they'll do, it's kind of like Match.com. They will look through it. So they do predictive index and disc profiling, things like that. I'm
laughing because I met my husband on Match.com, but keep going.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. So it's just not, now you'll know exactly what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Just like Match.com. So we have a client come in, and they give us the exact tasks that they're looking for. And then what our placements team will do, they'll go to our pool of virtual assistants. They'll look through, obviously, their resume. They'll look through their disc profile, predictive index, and then they'll match them. They'll put them on 3 interviews with a particular customer that comes in, and then the customer will pick the best one that fits with them. So it gets rid of all the pain points behind it.
So listeners, if you are starting into real estate investing and you still have a full-time job, just what I did. I was working in corporate America for the first 8 months that I started this business. I wish I had this when I started. This is such good money spent. So definitely check it out. In the show notes, we are going to have a link for you to click, for you to go in and learn more about REVA Global. Any other final words on that?
No, I mean, you know this, Jen. We do a lot of work with you guys as well. So
yes.
It's a great service. And like I said, if anyone has any questions, Jen, you know that you can reach out to me. If any of your students have any questions, I'll definitely help.
Awesome.
Whatever you need.
So the second half of the podcast is we dig a little deeper to see how Bob Lachance, not Ron LeGrand, is a badass. And I use the acronym BADASS. So the first letter is B. What is a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
I'd have to say Compound Effect, Darren Hardy. Yep.
I have it right there on my bookshelf. That one was
nice.
Better to me than The One Thing. I like the Compound Effect better than that book. Yep. Excellent. Yep. I love that. All right. The first A in badass is advice. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I would say first would be consistency, right? So everything you have to do is you got to be consistent in what you do. So consistency, that's one of the things that I've always been taught since I've been a kid, whether it's sports or business. You got to do things, and if you stop doing them, things are going to stop. It's just like marketing, right? So if you start marketing, and this is a common thing that happens, right? You start marketing, you get a deal if you're a rehabber, then you stop marketing. You're like, oh crap. Now, before you know it, you're done with your rehab, but you have no more deals. So you have to consistently keep those tasks rolling and going. So I think one of them has to be consistency. And the other one is you have to put the work in. You know this, you interview a lot of really cool people on your podcast, and a lot of people don't realize all the work that happens before they get on camera or before they get on audio. It's the stuff that they started 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago that compiles to whatever success that they have today, because a lot of people don't see the hard work, the blood, sweat, and tears. Same thing in sports, right? You see someone like Wayne Gretzky or Michael Jordan, you just think that, hey, he's the best in the world. But a lot of people don't realize the stuff that happens behind the scenes, right? I remember growing up, I was running telephone poles against my brothers. I was shooting pucks. I was stick handling. When people were out there just messing around, not doing those things, myself and my brothers were doing those things that you needed to do to make it to the next level, even as, when people weren't looking.
Absolutely. And I say ABM, always be marketing, because that is so true. Yep. You get a deal and you're like, oh, let me just slow this down for a little bit, but that is super important. But when you were talking about, putting it to use, and it's really about action. And when I heard you speak, I literally, on the top of this page right here in big letters, it says, all of this is good, but it takes action. And I wrote it. That's what Bob Lachance told me in 2017.
So I'm glad you're the one that listened. Thank you. Perfect.
I'm the one person that listened. You're the one. So by the way, my husband is a huge hockey fan. He has, we live in Raleigh, North Carolina. So he's a big Canes fan. He has season tickets. Awesome. Yeah. So
you guys are doing great this year. So that's good.
I hate hockey. No offense. I'm a college football girl. So I'm like, oh, it's Jen night. Go ahead, Vance. You go have fun at the hockey game. All right. So the D in badass is drive. What drives Bob to be successful?
I think it's more on the service side. A couple of different things. One would be the service side. I'm fortunate on my virtual assistant business that we affect two different individuals. One is our clients, right? So our clients, we have an opportunity to help them reach their goals, which is a really cool thing. When you see testimonials about people doing business and our virtual assistants helping, that is really cool for me. And the trickle down effect is when those individuals are successful, they're helping their family members, they're helping their, brothers, sisters, or whatever that looks like in their world. The other side of it is our virtual assistants, right? We have pride in running what I believe is one of the top companies, and we put a lot of energy and focus into the service that we give our own team members. And if we could help them, then the trickle-down effect there is they could help their family members as well. So there's a really cool trickle-down effect. On the surface, it seems like we're helping, just our virtual assistants that work with us and just our clients, but if you really peel back the onion, you see the trickle down effect is really massive on how many people they could help as well. So I think that's a really cool part.
I'm glad you brought this up, because I read about this on your website about the people you hire in the Philippines and how it just increases their salaries, their lifestyle. It just helps them tremendously. So I really love that about your company. So thank you for that. The second A in badass is aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
One on the real estate side, we have a pretty good real estate company behind the scenes. A lot of people don't know. I use my virtual assistants to really to take care of the back end of a lot of stuff within the company, but we just hit our over 125th deal of this year. So,
wow.
Which is pretty good. And we're looking next year. Another goal is to grow that side of it. So I don't know if that's going to be 150, 160. I don't know.
Is that wholesale deals or fix and flips, or?
We do a mix. We got, actually my phone was just ringing on a partnership we're doing on a rehab. So we do not a ton of rehabs, but we do some rehabs. We do some buy and holding. We do some wholetailing, and we do a lot of wholesaling.
Awesome.
So that mix.
Well, I mean, that's so important for someone who owns a company. You're actually in the business, and that's another reason why you shine above many of these others. The first S in badass is systems. So what systems do you have in place that help you achieve success?
That's a good question. We and I'll go over on the real estate side. The systems that we have a lot of marketing systems. We do a lot of cold calling. We do a lot of text messaging. We do some direct mail. We're just starting to get into PPC, but it's all based on the engine of our virtual assistants actually pushing it right on the cold calling side, where you pull records, you get them skip trace, and you just dial all day long to drive in our motivated seller leads. Those go to our acquisition team in-house. And it's their job, obviously, to turn those into profit, whether it's a listing, whether it's a wholesale, whether it's a wholesale, whatever that looks like. The leads that don't work out go into our follow-up funnel, which our virtual assistants then take over there as well. So they're hammering through. We have thousands and thousands of leads in our database. So now they're hammering through there as well. And then once they get back into them raising their hand, the client saying, yes, I'm interested now to sell because I wasn't before, goes back to our acquisition team. Once we get in our contract, it goes to our disposition side, and then it goes from there. So those are some of the systems that we have set up behind the scenes.
So do you do any work?
When you own a business, you always work. You manage. It's what happens when you own businesses.
Yes,
so,
the e-mess.
There's a lot of moving parts. You got a lot of moving parts to put together.
So, and by the way, you mentioned PPC, and for the listeners, that stands for pay per click. And when I first heard it, I thought it was paper, P-A-P-E-R. And I was like, are they saying paper clips? But it's pay, P-A-Y-P-E-R, clicks. And that's what I was mentioning before, how I have a Facebook ad, and it's a great way to generate leads. So I'm glad you do that as well. So the final S, and this one is important. What does success mean to you?
That's a good question. I mean, success, it's funny, success changes every year, right? And I think age has something to do with success. When I was in my 20s is different than when I was 30s. I'm in my 40s now. I think it's different, right? Success, if you're asking success for business, or you're asking success more for family, where's that question towards?
In general.
Yeah, in general. So for me personally, success right now is having my businesses run at a high level on that side of it. And I think it's important it's not just growth. It's not just a number, right? If you hear somebody close X amount of deals, that doesn't really mean anything to me, right? Yeah, you could say, wow, you're closing 120 deals. That sounds great, right? However, what is the sacrifice to get there? Success for me is if you're not spending time with your family at all, that's not success. Right. So you have to juggle it, because we know, and one of the reasons why I started REVA Global is it's getting people's time back. You need to get your time back to be able to enjoy the rest of your life, or the things that you enjoy doing, right? If you advance, like going out to, I don't know, taking maybe a Friday off, right? If you don't have your system set up, you don't have things going on, that's going to be a stressful day off.
Right.
That's not success. Success, to you might be different. For me, success is being able to have successful companies and also have that time off to where you can enjoy.
Well, you are awesome. I was so nervous to start this interview because you are like a celebrity figure to me, and I appreciate your time on here. And real quick, what is the easiest way for people to find you online or on social media? What's the best way?
Absolutely. You can just check out our website, REVA Global, REVA Global.com. I know you're going to have a link in the show notes.
Yes.
You can put the information there. My email is bob@revaglobal.com. And that's very easy. We're all over social, so you'll be able to find us there.
And it's not Ron, it's Bob.
It's not Ron. It's not. However, Ron is awesome, and I do know him very well. He's a client of ours too, so he's awesome.
So Bob, I thank you very much, and that is all. Thanks for listening. We will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to REIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of REIN by registering on REINmastermind.com.